Peace, family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Astrologiks, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I am going to be doing my video for Neptune entering into Aries um, on March 30th of 2025. So I am starting my videos for the different planetary changes coming in 2025, starting with Neptune and Aries. I will not be doing yearly horoscopes. I stopped doing those a few years ago. People who have been following me for a while know this already, but I noticed that I have a lot more newer followers, and so I wanted to announce it again. The reason is because I feel like it doesn't align with me astrologically anymore, as I've worked with clients a lot, especially over the last few years. There have been retrogrades every single time towards the end of the year, and people have goals, and I'm kind of not interested in selling false hope. And so the real astrological new year is in March for Aries season. It's the start of Aries season. And I typically equate Jupiter as a yearly astrological event as opposed to any of these other transits, especially when we're talking about Neptune, because it's an outer planet. However, if you want your yearly astrology sent to you, or you want a yearly overview, you can just go to my website and request a reading. And then I always do pre calls before I start anybody's reading to get information on what it is exactly you're looking for. And if that's all you want is your yearly, then that's what I will focus on. I do have all the transits for next year already written out. So if that's something that you are interested in, feel free to book a reading. Or you can send me an email, whichever you're more comfortable with. You can do it that way as well. All my information is in the description box below. If you like this video or if you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I do appreciate you in advance. All right, so let's get into this. Neptune is entering Aries on March 30th of 2025, and it'll be there until March of 2039. It will retrograde back into Pisces on October 27th of 2025 to January 26th of 2026. Neptune typically stays in the sign for 14 years. Neptune is the planet that rules over Pisces, and it lives in the 12th house. It's also the ancient ruler of Neptune is in Jupiter, which is just another reason why Jupiter is a better yearly astrological event as far as horoscopes go, in my personal and professional opinion, outside of anything else. But Neptune, Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter. And so whenever you're looking at your chart for any particular reason, when it has to do with Pisces, you should also look at your Jupiter, wherever Jupiter is in your chart as well. Just a side note. But Neptune rules over ideals, imagination, things that are invisible, foggy, things that lack clarity. And so this can be things like being scammed, identity theft, and catfishing. It also rules the subconscious mind, your sleep, your dreams, um, daydreaming, sign symbols, and synchronicities. This could also be things like metaphors, feeling sorry for others, having compassion for others, your emotions, unconditional love, um, and um, yeah. This could also be things like guilt, suffering, giving up, grief, running away from things, escapism, limits. Um, this could also be things like drugs, alcohol, addictions, pharmaceuticals, pharmacies, hospitals, asylums, prisons, a mental prison. So there's actual prison, like prison, jail, or mental prisons. This could also be things around mental health, facilities that host or provide services for people with mental health. Um, um, yeah, this can be narcissism, the sign that rules narcissism, deception, again, hospitals, oil rigs, oil drilling. Um, this could be shoes, leggings, the ocean, spirituality, faith, religion, or faith-based practices, retreats, places where you go away to do like some kind of spiritual ritual in some kind of way. Um, this could also be like cruises, like boat cruises, or um, like masquerade parties where you can hide your face. Um, any kind of themed party. Um, betrayal, glamour, illusions, delusions. Um, I said drugs, alcohol, addictions, chemicals, cosmetics, paint, peyote, shrooms, a kaleidoscope, um, biochemists, biochemicals, film, photography, Hollywood, um, magic, fantasy, an illusionist, miracles, hypnosis, meditation, healing, romance, the supernatural, and ghosts. Okay. And Aries is a cardinal fire sign. It's ruled by Mars and it lives in the first house. And so this has a lot to do with our head, body, self-esteem, how we view the world. Um, it rules motivation, um, how we approach things, renewal, right? It's Aries. Again, Aries is the actual new year. All the cardinal signs are a representation of a new season, and cardinal energy is about taking action. Mars is about taking action. And so there's a lot of motivation here towards Neptune themes. Um, being the first, being a warrior, being a fighter, a pioneer. It's our instincts, the hero in astrology. And so Mars is the god of war. And so typically I think of this energy as an archetype with Neptune is like the monk, like a monk, um, karate, like Bruce Lee, airbender, something kind of more spiritual in that way. But action, Mars is about fighting, action, movement. And so these could be things like Tai Chi, anything that's kind of like that. Um, and yoga obviously will be even bigger than I think it already is. I think we'll see a lot more people into karate or learning how to fight in general, um, or learning how to protect ourselves in general, um, to hunt, to provide strategy. This is about the art of war. And art of war isn't always just about actual war. In fact, the art of war doesn't have anything to do with actual war at all. It's really about, I feel like everything karate is about. Whenever I talk about Mars, specifically when it's connected to Pisces or Neptune, this is about that particular part in the movie Karate Kid with Jaden Smith when what's his name? I forgot the other guy's name. Jesus is teaching him karate. And every day he comes in and he's learning the same thing over and over again, which is to just pick up his coat and do it, put his coat on the hook with attitude. These about learning life through a spiritual practice, but it's practical. It's teaching you respect, how to follow rules, how to strategize. It's really a strategy, and being in flow of that and being respectful of others and things of that nature is teaching you really how to be an airbender, how to manipulate energy. And in that, you learn how to fight. And then he begins to show him how putting on his coat was teaching him the whole time to block a block, to make a punch, to dodge a punch, and so I feel like this energy can be very flowy in that way and movement and things of that nature, where people will be more in tune with that kind of energy. Um, yeah. And so this is the hero, action, bravery. Aries is the morning, Neptune is the nighttime. Um, Aries is about the self, the body. I said that. Um, the head, I said that. How you view the world, masculinity, muscles, manual labor, independence, taking risks, having the drive again to be an entrepreneur, to go after what you want with strategy. I cannot stress that enough. Anything other than strategy is ego, it's toxic masculinity. It can be boastful, argumentative, violent, abusive, very power hungry, um, and impulsive. This can be where we see quite the opposite of karate in that way, where somebody's a martyr and they'll do it to the extent of like somebody willing to kill themselves for things that they believe in, right? And so that'll be the lower expressions of this energy where people will do whatever it takes to get to the top, even if it hurts people, to do whatever it takes to get people to do what you want them to do, even if it's not for the betterment of the person. And it only is good for you, very selfish in that way. Um, and so I think we'll see a lot of that obviously as well. Blood, fire, blood, cuts, burns, bruises, guns, crime, violence, anger. Yeah. These are also the lower expressions of Aries. And so, how can this time or this transit play out in a lot of our lives? Um, I think we'll see a lot more people having morning and night routines. Um, this can consist of praying, some kind of spiritual ritual before you go to bed or when you wake up in the morning, um, or having to relax before you go to bed. So, a lot of bubble baths, meditation, sleep into like mantras, working out, setting intentions before you go to sleep, writing down your dreams when you wake up, things of that nature. Um, it could even lead to sleep issues. Um, because this can be like a spiritual awakening for a lot of people. They say the bewitching hours is to wake up. If you wake up between the hours of 3 and 5, people could be experiencing that on a very massive level. Um, yeah, I think there can be a lot of new beginnings for people in many different ways, wanting to be the first. Um, a lot of spiritual warriors are going to be born or made throughout this transit. Um, People who believe in fighting for what they believe in, pioneers with strong instincts and reactionary, um, you know, very proactive and protective. Um, we might see a lot more people take accountability for their actions. Um, we might see a lot of people protecting themselves or teaching themselves how to protect themselves from predators or even distractions. Um, we might see our blind spots a lot clearer too. Neptune can be the things that sneak up on us so that we don't see coming. But the more we in tune and align with this energy, I think um, we'll gain an ability to kind of like have eyes behind our head. Um, this definitely could be war. I mean, that's the clearest symbolism of this energy. Um, but it can also be solutions, coming up with real strong solutions or new leaders that come in with better solutions, um, instead of war. Now, I'm really not that optimistic that that will happen. I do think eventually we will have a war, and I do think it's going to be for mainly for America. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's just the truth. Um, we might see a lot of people disassociate from clout chasing. This can definitely be more volcanic weather, actual volcanoes, or just harsher weather, right? We're talking about Mars, which is movement. So it could be things like that start out in the ocean, more harsher waters in the ocean, more things around water, more floods, um, hotter weather. Um, it could be um, mm, more fires, you know, that cause major damage, especially because this will ingress when ingresses into Aries. Mars will be back in Cancer. And so this time right now, because Mars in Cancer transit started in September, if I'm not mistaken, this is like the beginning stages of what we'll begin to see more of when Neptune actually moves into Aries, because we'll be tracking uh, Mars transits for Aries. And so wherever Mars is how this energy can change and transform over time. And so there could be a lot of destruction or changes with interest rates, inflation when it comes to housing and homes and insurance for your home, unfortunately. Tougher borders for immigration or immigrants, um, more marine studies and anything to do with the water, fish. We can learn a lot more about these topics. I also think we're going to see like uh, spiritual war. Um, I, I pray it's more spiritual than physical, but again, I really don't think we're going to be able to avoid an actual physical war. However, I do think if you remembered me talking about the everything that's going on with P. Diddy and how everything is unfolding, I think it's a breakdown of Hollywood and the whole clout chasing culture. They're gonna uh, they're willing to destroy their own infrastructure to create and build a new one. And so if you remember back some time when we had the um, situation with the writers strike, I think that is going to blow up because the outcome of that was that they wanted to use the people, but not to use their AI person, but not the actual person. And that's a spiritual war. I think that's going to grow and evolve massively. That's going to lead to a lot of chaos when it comes to Hollywood for sure, but work in general. Um, um, and even for people in some way, shape, or form, it's going to affect us on a pretty big level. That's going to push us out of the ability to make money somehow. Um, and so there'll be a spiritual war from wanting freedom from this AI technology boom that I am almost 90% sure that's going to grow and be a really big problem. The whole virtual reality thing is going to grow massively. Manual labor can turn from people to robots. On the upswing to that, again, a lot more people are going to awaken in some way, shape, or form. And this is going to lead people to doing the things, it's going to drive people to doing the things that they actually love, like becoming an entrepreneur, starting your own business, growing your own foods, and things of that nature. Um, it's going to be a big shift. It's going to be heavy for a lot of people, but I also think it's going to bring a lot more communities together with the Jupiter and Gemini still there. Jupiter's your neighborhood, your communities. And so if borders are having issues and we're not able to get product in, it's going to, again, force people to do that for themselves and barter and buy from people right here in your neighborhood, in your country, and grow that way. And then in that sense, I think it's a plus. I think we should be doing that anyway. But again, the transition is going to be so huge that, it's going to, there's going to be kind of a trial and error period, if you will, to acclimate to this new way of doing things. But I do think entrepreneurs can put big companies out of business. Again, we'll be more empowered to will be, I'm sorry, empowered and inspired, but inspired was the word I meant to say. We'll be more inspired to chase our dreams. We can get a lot of people who think they're superheroes. And again, this can lead to martyrdom, where people are willing to die for a cause or something that they believe in, even if it's not real. Um, and in that case, I do think we'll see a lot of suicides. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but it's definitely going to be a thing. Um, but again, when I think of the hero, I just think of somebody having a spiritual awakening, taking control over their life, and encouraging others to do the same. This can be entitlement. You know, Aries is a sign of entitlement. We might get a lot of entitled people imposing their beliefs and expectations onto others, which can cause a lot of fights and disagreements. Um, but again, many people are going to come to terms with who they are. Um, and learn how to work with others. Um, yeah, I think we're going to find a lot more people who are interested in wanting to save the world, you know, cleaning the ocean, saving the underprivileged, um, taking action towards more spirituality, more holistic healing, and promoting utopia and spiritual growth. Um, Unfortunately, there could be a lot more crime and violence and gun laws, like who can have guns and who can't due to poverty. Um, I do think a lot of people are going to be more brave. Um, and again, people are either going to practice how to use a gun or how to protect themselves or provide for themselves. I think we're going to see a lot of self-actualization and independence. Um, and self-actualization, again, is just taking accountability for our actions, not afraid to get help and ask questions, um, being independent, you know, um, being responsible for where our life is and not being in like a victim mentality. Woe is me, my life sucks because I'm lost. I lack direction. I lack um, clarity. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. Nobody helps me. Nobody cares. Very like the fall of Hollywood, I think is going to bring massive, massive trauma and mental health issues to people who really like believed in that ideal. And the fact that it's going to fall can lead to a lot of mental health issues or realizations and awakenings that can cause trauma, right? To people who don't take accountability, who believed in the illusions and delusions that have been sold to us, the illusion of power, or leadership. This is going to be a huge, I foresee this being a bigger problem than I think any of us can fathom at the moment. But if you think about people who idealize fame, the fall of that is going to be catastrophic, you know. Um, but it's a process of self-actualization. They'll have the breakdown, they'll get the help, they'll have the awakening and rise above it, and then you become your ideal, You take accountability for how you want your life to look. I think these are going to be really, really, really big themes throughout this transit. Um, I also think there'll be a higher, bigger need to provide basic needs to the homeless, which again is about self-actualization and becoming independent. That Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That first level is having home, food, shelter, the basic things to provide for yourself. Without those things, um, again, we'll see a lot more violence, a lot more crime, that can get really out of control. But if they do this, they can prevent some of those things from happening. I'll talk about more about this in the Saturn conjunct Neptune, but essentially, we're talking about taking up a lot of free space that's going to build a lot more homes. Okay, that's the basics of it. I think we're going to see this grow and rise potentially. Obviously not right away. It's a 14-year transit, and so some things have to fall apart first for us to see that that's even a need. Um, but I do think we're going to get there. I do. With the Pluto and Aquarius transit is helping fuel this idea. You might even have people fighting for it, petitioning for it, walking for it, and things of that nature. So, um, yeah, I do think that we're going to rise above of the victim mentality. Um, Spirituality and the whole realm and world of spirituality can be renewed in some way, where people might build more spiritual communities that can change how we view the world. I think masculinity can come back at this time, big muscles, big cars, again, being more protective, whatever your ideal of masculinity is in the healthiest form. I think we can see a lot of people waking up to that. I think I'm already starting to see a lot of that with, again, Mars and Cancer and Mars and Leo. And now they're about to go retrograde, and it'll be that way again, right up until this transit, um, until Neptune ingresses into Aries, which is very, very important. I pay close attention to how this is playing out, how the Mars and Cancer and Mars and Leo transit has been playing out for you. It's going to give you a lot of emphasis on how this Neptune is going to take place for you in your life personally. Um, I think sports and anything to do with sports is going to change in a big way. There can unfortunately be a lot more body and head injuries. Um, Martial arts again is going to grow. Competition and being competitive um, is going to grow. Competitions around sports, competitions in general, but the attitude for competing can grow very strongly here. On the other side, Neptune is about the weakening of something. And so masculinity can get weaker and become more gender fluid. And whatever issues, as you can imagine, can come up with that can be more highlighted. In fact, I think it is going to become more highlighted. You always go through the lower expressions of these in the very first 3 and 5 years of a transit. And then once people start experiencing it more and actually have that, again, fall from grace in some way, then you rise back up in the higher expressions of this. So there's obviously going to be more of that. And like some of the sports changes can be that, like this thing with women who have sex changes or men who have sex changes on the opposite team. So they might have been born a man, but they changed to a woman and now they're playing on a woman's team. A lot more of those things are going to come up for sure. Um, Again, this could also be about no sex, leading to more masturbation, no connections. So the likelihood of no children, not having children. So depopulation, even again, Pluto and Aquarius is in agreement with this as well. Um, and so it could lead to, again, the spiritual attack where we have oculuses that provide sex, or again, the masturbation for sex, or with dolls, things of that nature. It can happen. And so the sex industry is definitely going to go through a huge change as well. Um, um, Video games and Oculuses is going to kind of take over, or the whole virtual reality thing again is going to change tremendously. That whole industry is going to grow quite interestingly. I'm almost scared to say it out loud. I mean, in one way, I feel like as far as the investment piece, and again, if you've been following me for a while, I've been talking about this for quite some time. Um, but I think it's great for the investment piece, going back to the industry where people can capitalize. If people can capitalize off of their own AI or their own, virtual self, that's a game changer, because you own the rights to that. This is the reason why they're trying to fight so hard not to do crypto money or anything, because it's yours. They don't really have access to it. So the reason that it hasn't happened is because it takes control away from the powers that be. And they don't want that. They want the control over it. And so they're working on building those things in such a way where they can have control over it. Um, and so, that'll be a whole war. That's the spiritual war, in my personal opinion. Um, how it'll work out, I don't know. We'll see. But there is some positives to this technological takeover. Um, but there's also some part of it where again it puts us in that very ethereal Pisces energy where we own nothing but have access to everything, and that can be dangerous because it's no different than what we're in the controlled state that we're already in, and we want freedom. Either way, however it pans out, unfortunately, again, it's going to lead to a physical war. And I do think it's a civil war. And again, I'll talk more about that in the Saturn Neptune conjunction. Um, I think we can see the end of democracy and the beginning of a universal world or system. Um, I think I said immigration is going to grow. There'll be a lot more problems and issues with that. People losing hope in leaders. Um, I said that creative talents are going to grow for sure here. I think they can grow massively. Um, Obviously, the disconnection of reality can be really big as well. But yeah, overall, more than not, I really do think that this time can be this transit's going to provide a lot more positives than negatives, but especially for the people who've already been doing the work, they'll be the first to experience this and take these challenges on head on and leave a path for others to once they get their awakening. In that way, I think this is pretty fucking dope for the most part. But yeah, this is my video for Neptune entering into Aries. As usual, family, I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.